getting rid of crow's feet without an injection. Sign me up. I am all in. Where do I find this thing, right? Is that what you were thinking when I said that? That's also what I was thinking when I heard about argireline many years ago. And that is what we're gonna talk about today. So I'm Dr. Ray Hamidi. I'm a board certified dermatologist. Welcome back. And today we're talking about argireline. What is it? Is it really Botox in a bottle? We will talk about that today, and I will help you determine if it is right for you. So what is argireline? It is a peptide, also known as hexapeptide 8 or acetyl hexapeptide 8. You will hear it or see it on ingredient lists in any of those forms. And as the name suggests, it is a peptide. How it is deemed to work is similarly to Botox and the other neuromodulators, in the sense that it has the potential to decrease the muscle activity, the muscle contraction, by working on the nerves so that they can't communicate with the muscles to tell them to contract. And that is exactly how Botox works, okay? So is it the real deal, and why is it so hyped up? So let's talk about it, because if you have been in the skincare world at all, then you've probably heard about Botox in a bottle. And one of the most popular brands for that is the SkinCeuticals. It's the peptides, I think I'm saying that right, peptides serum, which is $150 per ounce. And assuming an ounce lasts you about a month, that is $150 a month. So that's $1,800 a year on a singular product, singular serum. So when we're talking about products like these, which are very, very popular, you want to know, is it really worth my money? Is it worth it to get it? Is it going to be doing what it says it's going to do? So let's talk about the data. And why do we talk about the data? Because that is what tells us what is going to work and what doesn't, because science is truth, right? So what does the data say? The first thing we want to look at is, can argireline really get to the muscle? That is a major, major question, right? Because in order to get to the muscle to do what it needs to do, it needs to get through that top layer of skin, the epidermis. Then underneath that is the dermis, the second layer. Under that, it needs to get through the subcutaneous fat, the third layer of skin, then through the connective tissue that covers the muscle, and then into the muscle in order to have its biological activity, right? So is it possible for a topical product to get down that deep to do its thing? So there's been studies on this, actually. So we call it penetration studies. And what they did is apply a 10% formulation of argireline in a typical oil and water formula, which is kind of the way they're formulated in topical use in order to penetrate into the skin better. So they used that on cadaver skin, and they found that all of that remained in the stratum corneum. What is the stratum corneum? It is the very, very, very topmost layer of skin. It's a top layer of the top layer. It's that dead skin cells that make up the dust around us. All of it stayed in the stratum corneum. It didn't even get in through the epidermis down to the dermis even. And for that reason, it is really, really unlikely that argireline is going to have a biological effect, activity on the muscle when you're applying it topically to your skin. And honestly, I wish that weren't true, because if there is a topical alternative to Botox where we don't have to do injections, etc., that would be amazing. I mean, I would love that for myself as well. But honestly, it doesn't make scientific sense that it would get down into the muscle. And that's what the studies show as well. And then we do want to look at the efficacy studies, right? We want to look at, okay, people use this on their skin. They looked at the improvement in wrinkles or no improvement. What did they see? And there are a few studies. There's not a ton of studies on argireline, but there are several. And the bottom line really is that the data is mixed. Part of the reason for that is that the studies that have been done are not ideal, all of them. For example, some of them don't have a placebo group at all. And so it's hard to know if there was an effect. Was it from the argireline itself and its muscle activity, or was it just because that particular lotion or cream that had the argireline in it was hydrating the skin more, or was the argireline having a kind of classic peptide effect where it was increasing collagen production potentially, or other peptides that it's formulated with in that particular study? Some of these studies are done with argireline plus another peptide. Was it the other peptide that was doing the activity, you know? So it's really hard to know when there's no placebo. Then there are studies that do have a placebo. We do like that kind of study much, much better. But in that category, then we look at, okay, how did they determine whether there was an effect or not? Was it subjective? Were the subjects themselves looking at themselves in the mirror before and after use and telling us, yes, it helped or no, it didn't. And if so, by the way, that is the least reliable type of data. Or was it objectively measured by a device? We have devices that can measure wrinkle depth, fairly accurately, much better than a human can. And then there's a third option, which is that the wrinkle improvement was assessed by an expert grader. That's usually going to be a dermatologist that is looking at like before and after photos, right? So in those studies where there was a placebo, mixed results. Some showed improvement, some did not. And the ones that showed improvement were based on an expert grader that kind of looked at before and after pictures. Ones that did not show improvement were using objective measurements. And so again, data is mixed. And I will say though, positive note here is that in general, in these studies that did look at things like hydration of the skin and just overall texture improvement, there seemed to be pretty much across the board improvement in those factors. So that's great. We love hydration and we love texture improvement. But the question is, if you're going to be paying $150 an ounce, do you just want hydration, or are you really paying for that effect that you're looking for, that effect on the muscle that makes your wrinkles, your crow's feet worse, and you want your crow's feet to be better, right? So then we have to look at, again, is it the argireline in the product that's doing the thing, or is it just the hydrating effect of the cream itself? Can you get the same thing from a much, much less expensive product, whether it's another peptide product that simulates collagen and hydrates the skin, or just a hydrating agent like hyaluronic acid or something like that? That is yet to be known. So I would say at this stage of the game, we can't really talk about argireline as Botox in a bottle. We cannot talk about it as a Botox alternative necessarily, because whenever someone asks me, is there a safe alternative or a natural alternative to Botox? My answer is always, there is nothing out there that works similarly to Botox and the other neuromodulators, in the sense that it works on the contraction of the muscles in your face to prevent those dynamic wrinkles, which are those wrinkles that happen when you move your face, and then prevents those from turning into static wrinkles, which are the wrinkles that are there even when you're not moving your face, and they come from the dynamic wrinkles. Because you can imagine, after years and years of creasing your skin, and especially coupled with collagen and elastin loss in your skin that comes with age and just exposure to the elements for decades and decades, those creases settle in, right? And there's nothing that works on the muscle to soften those the way that neuromodulators do. And this is a good time to note too that if argireline really was getting into that muscle and reducing the activity and actually having an effect on the muscle activity, it really would be categorized as a drug by the FDA, and it would need to go through that vigorous FDA testing and clinical trials to determine its safety and efficacy before it went out to market. But it's not, right? It is marketed as a topical agent over the counter. So it is not marketed as a drug and has not gone through that FDA approval process. And again, that makes sense because it's not really doing the thing. It is not working on that muscle deep in the deeper layers of tissue of your face. It's working, if anything, in that very top layer, maybe hydrating a bit. That is my conclusion based on all the studies that I have looked at. That is the conclusion, is that it is not working on the muscle itself, but it is having a hydrating effect, which can improve the wrinkle appearance. And that's great. But again, it's all about knowing what you're paying for. I don't want you paying $150, aka $1,800 a year on a product that you don't need, that you could just be paying way less, on the order of like a few hundred a year, for another peptide product that has the same effect on hydration and collagen stimulation to help with the kind of slow improvement of those fine lines over time. And then I would put that money, that $1,800, toward something that actually works if you are open to it, if you are open to injections. On another video, I can get into the safety, the efficacy of the injectables like Botox, Dysport, Daxxify, etc. Obviously, we know they're effective, but in terms of safety, I feel like that is a major factor getting in front of why people don't want to use it. I think there's three things. One is the safety. People think it's probably not safe. It's a toxin. Can I get sick from it, etc. Two is that they see people, whether it's celebrities or people they know, people on the street, that have been overdone with these treatments, Botox, Dysport, etc., and they don't want to look like that, and I completely understand that. And then lastly is that there's sort of a values-based reason or judgment about the Botox in terms of, I don't want to put that in my body, I don't want, things injected into my skin, which is, again, totally fine if that's you, and I'm never going to go at you with a needle if you don't want that, right? To each their own, and you do you. But again, I don't want you to pay $1,800 a year for a product that is not going to do the same thing, expecting that it will. And that's also a reason why I think almost across the board, you will not see dermatologists recommending argireline instead of Botox for someone who doesn't want Botox. By the way, it's not because we want you to spend money on Botox with us. Botox is not that big of a moneymaker for us, believe it or not. We really do want to help you and give you the thing that you want in the way that you want it. And if you want a topical product that does the same thing, and if it was out there, I think pretty much across the board, if it worked really well, dermatologists would be happy to recommend it to you. But in general, you'll see that we don't, and there's a reason for that. Now, I will say, if you do want to try it, despite everything I've said, and you're like, you know what, Dr. Ray, I just want to see for myself. Totally fine. Please do. I encourage you, though, if you do that, to assess and see how is it really doing for you. Is it worth the money? Is it worth the X number of dollars that you're paying for it? And how do you do that? In my opinion, the best way is really good, what I call progress photos. You can call them before and afters, whatever you like. Taking pictures is much more reliable than relying on your memory and the mirror to determine if things are getting better. Because remember, placebo effect is a thing. It is a scientifically proven effect that, especially when we're spending money, putting something on our skin every day, we want to see an improvement. And I think it's really helpful to have some more, not quite objective, but more objective data points in terms of, okay, is this thing really helping me? So what do? You take progress photos, preferably in the same room with the similar lighting, maybe around the same time of day, similar angle, to see if you are actually getting improvement after use, after like a few weeks or a month or so of the product, and then maybe a few months after that. And also I encourage you to take pictures, not just with your face at rest, but also with your face smiling, raising your forehead, making those frown lines, if you're using it in those areas, because again, if it's really working on the muscle, yeah, it will decrease those movements when you're trying to make like your maximum frown, right? So it should look softer when you're trying to frown, for example, before you start using it versus a month or 6 weeks after, okay? So if you really want to see, okay, is it really working on the muscle like it says it does, then that's the way to check. So tell me if you've used it before, if you love it, if you hate it, if you feel like you wasted your money or it's the best thing ever and you never have to do Botox again, or if you're interested in trying it, if you have more questions, etc., about the data, etc., I'm happy to answer. And again, as always, please subscribe if you have not already. This is a newer channel and your subscription means the world to me. Like this video if it was helpful to you. And again, if there's anything else you want to hear about, drop them in the comments. I am always looking for new ideas to talk about on here. So that's it for now, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk next time.